So what did you think of the Cincy Light that Chris brought as we wait for people to show up here for the live? Hey, shout out to Zach, new member on YouTube. Shout out, Zach.
Greetings, Z. It's there's a little bit more to it than the beer flavored water that I'm used to.
Which, speaking of which, I still have a cooler of that in my backyard I got to bring up here. So
Yeah.
I'll bring it up.
Why do you think I bought it?
I don't know, because you're cheap and you didn't want to buy a bunch of OG Light for our golfers. That's why. I will be getting OG Light for our friends in Charlotte, though. I'll buy a couple cases before we go to ACC tip-off next week.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Also got some new stickers, too, that
I have new stickers, too.
to bring to our friends in Charlotte.
We have friends.
You were asking before we got started, like, shout out to Heel. Yeah, he's like, I got my 2-month badge. Let's go. You're like, what do you mean? What are these badges? So when you're a YouTube member, when you pay us the $5,
So you hit the join button.
because it's like, do you remember the Dr. Zeus book, The Sneetches?
Mm-hmm.
And they had the Sneetches with the stars,
Yeah.
and then you had the Sneetches without the stars. So a guy came up with like the Sneetches star machine, and then it became this thing where like, well, if everybody has a star, then nobody's special. So he, the hustler then came up with the whole like, well, fine, I'll remove the stars so you can differentiate yourself from those other Sneetches that got the stars, for whatever. So this is kind of a Sneetches thing, where if you become a YouTube member, you get a little Sneetches OG 5 stars, and then 2 months in, you get a different badge with a little border around it. I think 3 months in, you get the upside down triangle good.
Oh,
Yeah. And then I think I got 6 months. There's another one. I have to come up with one for a year. I guess I'll figure that out when we get closer to a year having started the OG YouTube membership.
so what I hear you saying is Sneetches get stars, not stitches.
Yes.
Hit the music.
Derek. No, Derek.
No.
Another former CBCer. No, the badge you got was the friends that we made along the way. That's what we did. You want the music? By the way, we're supposed to have a new video intro here for the lives and whatnot. We'll get it at some point. That's in the works right now. So you really want you want the open?
Want the bounce.
All right, we'll do the bounce. Does that just make you feel some type of way?
Now I know the podcast has started.
Fair enough. It hasn't started quite yet. Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. We are inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. As I mentioned, if your equipment looks like this old phone receiver, folks, it's time. It's time to upgrade and call our friends at Copiers Plus. Again, that's copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need up to the cloud. What?
Mikey P made us sports phone stickers. We need to put the sports phone sticker on the sports phone and put that on our burgeoning wall over here.
Yeah,
You did some good work this afternoon.
I've started the process of redoing because we've gotten so much stuff.
I'm gonna hook up my camera to show the people.
Well, I was gonna say I can
just turn my camera around, my finger majigger around.
Okay. I'll add your second camera. I'll assign I've assigned your MacBook camera to the YouTube.
You see,
so all you got to do is lift it and we can turn it. So yeah, you can see that we've got the NC State Ice Pack Raleigh jersey that we put on the door. I've got that Dreamville, the one-off Dreamville NCFC jersey framed finally. So I'm happy about that. And I'm starting to do the hat wall on the guest wall. This also means that it requires us to actually have like guests in studio at some point.
Yeah.
One of these days. We'll get some more guests.
One of these years.
We'll get some more. We'll invite Chip back up in here. Something like that. Speaking of guests.
Have a meeting?
Do you want to have a meeting?
Let's have a meeting.
I'm trying to promote this big event that we have next week at the local.
Yes.
We will be there Thursday.
You will be there.
4:30 puck drop. We got tickets to give away.
I'm more concerned if you're going to be awake or not at 4:30. Honestly, that's prime Giglio nap time.
No. 2:00 is actually my legitimate weekend nap time.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So that might be perfect. I'll be jazzed.
Okay.
Me and Jazz Chisholm trying to figure out why we got benched. Fucking Aaron Boone. I want him fired for yesterday for winning with Jazz Chisholm.
Well,
like seriously,
was Boston yesterday just making a mockery of baseball with the bullpen usage in order to get to the final game?
Here's the thing.
Which, by the way, bullpen wise, shout out to the Dodgers. They found a way in a jam last night to get out of it. They ended up winning 8-4. Because again,
shout out to the team with the greatest payroll in the history of the sport. Yeah, man. I can't believe they found a way.
Because the little old Yankees can never get it done, right? The little old Yankees, little under the radar Yankees. I mean, geez.
Did you see the news already? Who's
that?
Starting in game 1 against the Phillies?
No, I did not see that.
Ohtani.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
what a luxury, dude. They are nice, operating on a different level.
They found themselves in a jam last night. They got out of it. Whatever. And the Dodgers bullpen is one of those things that people have pointed out could be a potential weakness,
not great.
Just like it is with the Yankees.
Correct.
Which, again, I'm still waiting for the Yankees to turn it on. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what they are, but
it's not coming home.
It's not going to come home.
It's really not.
It's not going to come home for the Yankees. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is 2:07. We are live on YouTube. You know what that means. We're brought to you by the Butcher's Market. It's a Butcher's Market OG live. Should be a nice weekend. The weather has turned a little bit, which is nice, which means it's time for you to get out there and grill. So hit the Butcher's Market today. We got to do a re-up of OG Light. I do know that our friends at Peace Street Market have a whole bunch of OG Light. So go downtown Raleigh, Peace Street Market, get yourself some stuff for this weekend. I don't know. If you're an NC State fan, you might need it against Campbell. I don't know. 2:00.
Campbell really has a high school team.
No, what I'm getting at is like, what else are you going to do? It's Campbell. I mean, come on. What are you going to do, right? Now, if you want to
hear what you're saying.
And if you're headed out to Chapel Hill because you're getting hyped for Luda,
you got to be there early.
I know, which we'll get to that in a second. We will definitely get that to the second. No, so speaking of Chapel Hill, one thing that is developing here, and real quick, I'm all discombobulated here.
It's okay.
Shout out to the Butcher's Market. Go to thebutchersmarkets.com and we'll have a mailbag. Mailbag's a little late tomorrow because we'll be headed over to
we're on assignment tomorrow for real. We got some hockey stuff we got to take care of.
Yeah. So you have a burgeoning crush, if not full-blown crush already, with North Carolina freshman Caleb Wilson. Is this true?
It is.
Okay, because like
you can make a montage with like me like pointing to the original one of like him being like, in so many words, I'm coming for Duke, I'm coming for State, and I'm coming for Wake. So, like he did not hesitate to include all of those teams. I was like, yes, sir.
I'm like, what? Throwing in Wake?
Throwing in State, man.
Staying up late watching the late great Skip Prosser games against UNC.
No, those were some good games.
Those were some good games back in the day.
Chris Paul against Ray Felton,
right?
That was.
Right. Well,
not bad.
Wasn't like a multiple overtime at the Smith Center? That one was nuts. Okay. Maybe that's what Caleb Wilson's doing in his in his spare time. So you sent me this.
Not in his spare time. He's hanging out with Mr. Beast in his spare time.
Well, there's that. I'll get to that in a second. You sent me this, the intro, Caleb Wilson.
What's up? I'm Caleb Wilson. I'm a 6'7" freshman from Atlanta, Georgia. What should Tar Heel fans know about you? Say that I'm energetic, have a lot of energy, like to play around a lot, but, I kind of have an off and on switch. When I play basketball, I'm pretty serious off the court. I'm really not serious at all, so I'm pretty approachable. If you want a picture, just ask for one.
All right, now we know that, Joe. If you want a picture with Caleb Wilson, just ask for one. Just ask for one. I'm sure he'll be happy to do it.
I like that.
And we can put it on the wall.
There we go.
You and Caleb Wilson.
I texted my guy over there yesterday. I said, please tell me this kid has the game to match his personality. And he was like, there's going to be some up and downs. He goes, but he's going to be good.
He's going to be good. Yeah. And then you mentioned Mr. Beast. This was on Caleb Wilson's Instagram feed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, cool. It's Caleb Wilson with Mr. Beast. Whatever. You know what really stuck out to me in this photo?
Please tell me it's the same thing that stuck out to me.
It's the fact that Mr. Beast, Greenville guy, is doing the most Greenville ECU thing possible, wearing UNC basketball shorts. If that doesn't scream Greenville, man, I don't know what does.
Well,
he's authentic when he says he's a Greenville man, Mr. Beast.
That's fair. That's a fair takeaway that most people would have.
That was mine.
Mine was, if you look at that picture there, I'm pretty sure they're in the Carolina weight room.
Yeah.
I know for a fact you would have gotten kicked out of the Carolina weight room in previous years if you were wearing what Caleb Wilson was wearing.
Oh, was he was wearing New Balance?
He's wearing his New Balance.
See, I didn't think about that.
The revolution is here, Joe.
And
it's here.
That's when Michael Jordan took it personal. That's why Michael Jordan was dapping up Cooper Flagg at the Ryder Cup.
Right.
That's
He's
clearly
like,
what it was.
No, he's a New Balance guy too.
He is too. He is too.
I don't know what that was about.
So look, we've got Caleb Wilson.
And spare me the fucking game recognizes game.
I know. We got Caleb Wilson. You're hyped.
Don't get me started, people.
There's a personality there.
Yes.
Right? There's something like, there's something hype about UNC. Oh, look, give me something. I'm in now. All right. UNC hoops. Let's go. And unfortunately, it's not quite hoop season yet. We're still dealing with football season. So we go from Caleb Wilson to Bill Belichick, recalibrated and excited to play in the ACC. Hit me, Bill. Hit me.
It's a little bit of a reset. The end of training camp was one time. And now, as you said, we got 4 games, all out of conference games, and played a couple away, a couple at home. You know, we had a multitude of experiences, and we've kind of recalibrated on that. And as I said, reset a little bit on things that we, need to do more of, things we need to do less of, things we need to improve. So it's kind of what I've always done with this kind of break. But, after a third of the season, it's probably, about the right time for all those things.
It's a good thing they added the dramatic music. Make sure we knew we had a pulse and it wasn't AI.
You know what? I know. You know who's going to get us hyped up for noon? Clemson, North Carolina. You know who's going to get us hyped up? Luda. Luda's going to get us hyped. Let's come on, Luda. Bring it home.
What's going on, Carolina fans? I'm so excited to come to Chapel Hill and perform for y'all on October 4th. We definitely going to play some of your favorites, so you need to get to Polk Place and let's have some fun before the Tar Heels hit the field against Clemson. It's going to be an epic performance. It's going to be an epic game.
Is it going to be an epic game?
Let Luda go, man. Come on.
Is Luda going to be awake at 10 o'clock in the morning? I'll be there. I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
Now, look, all joking aside, this game, I know originally on the schedule, this game was, maybe game day shows up. Hey, maybe this is a primetime game. You got a fun fact. This happens very rarely. You have a multiple national championship winning coach going up against a multiple Super Bowl winning coach. It was all there. It was all there for the Tar Heels and the Tigers. Instead, we get a noon kickoff and what I've dubbed the narrative bowl. Because the way I see this playing out is that Clemson will get right, quote unquote, against the Tar Heels. Talent-wise, it's not even close. We all recognize this. So talent-wise, Clemson clearly has the advantage. Clemson also coming off an open date, not having the season they wanted. So they've had an opportunity to recalibrate from the first third of the season. And I expect Clemson to win comfortably against the Tar Heels. And then we will wonder, maybe this is like Clemson doing they're still in the ACC hunt and all that kind of stuff. You're shaking your head. I agree with you. I'm just saying that's going to be the kind of conversation that comes out.
Sure.
And then on the flip side of that, you're going to have the Belichick narrative stuff of where the hell is this going? It went from easy schedule to how many wins exactly do you see? It goes from even the most haterific of haters for UNC were saying, they'll get to a bowl. And now we're wondering if they will get to a bowl.
They're going to go 8-4, man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to lie to you.
So welcome to the Narrative Bowl on Saturday in Chapel Hill.
So, yes, we have seen a Super Bowl winning coach go against a multiple national champion before. It was Super Bowl 49 between the Patriots and the Seahawks when Pete Carroll made the single dumbest call in the history of organized football to give Bill Belichick one of those Super Bowl rings. So he should be thanking his lucky stars for that. And then he should be comfortable playing against a coach who has multiple national championships. So that's good for Bill. It's a great sign for Bill. The more I think about this quarterback situation, the more I'm intrigued. It's the last intriguing part of UNC's football season to me.
The Gio Lopez versus Max Johnson. We talked to Andrew Jones, Tar Heel 24/7 earlier this week, and he was adamant about the fact that this coaching staff is all in on Gio and that Max Johnson is not just going to be a change of pace for this weekend.
At some point.
Yeah, no.
This is the most fascinating part to me. And I when I went back and listened to our conversation with West Durham, I wasn't happy with myself. I kind of stepped on it. I didn't make a great point. I should have left it open-ended so people got his opinion, not just mine. Okay, so I erred there. but I am genuinely fascinated by what they do in the quarterback position. Do they have a freshman, right? Because like if you're sitting here saying I can't play the 27-year-old Max Johnson because it doesn't help me, well, I would argue to your point, are they going to make a bowl? I would argue Gio Lopez is now a sunk cost.
Yeah.
And that you should play Max Johnson to get to a bowl this year. Or the alternative is to use the freshman and say, all right, let me see what you got. Because maybe you can build something off of the freshman. I don't think Gio is the answer. So to me, the most fascinating thing about Carolina, because it is a litmus test for what Belichick's mindset is.
Yeah.
Belichick's mindset right now should be in scramble mode. How do I solve the problem that's in front of me? Not what am I going to do next year? It should be what's right in front of me. Because every year in college football is a year-to-year proposition. He's going to have a completely different roster next year. He's already proven that he'll go from spring to the end of spring with a completely different roster.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because a lot of the pushback that I have received via email or through commentary on YouTube, Instagram, or even Blue Sky and Twitter have been the true believer Carolina fans that have been hitting on this talking point where they got like 70 new players. And it's like, do you think you're unique in that regard? And we talked about this with Andrew Jones earlier this week. That was a choice. You know, there are clearly some college football caliber players that had talent that decided that you decided you didn't want anymore. And you can also point to other schools that have done these rapid turnarounds and made at least bowls. And now we're wondering if they're going to make a bowl game. So to me, this is very much a Bill Belichick problem. They decided to do this. Mike Lombardi decided to do this. They were under no pressure to completely remake it. They just wanted their guys because of the hubris that goes along with our guys are going to develop the way that we want. And it's interesting you keep bringing up what is the rest of the season going to be. I don't know if they understand that mindset. I just don't know if they understand that mindset because in normal football for them, they've got contracts. They got guys next year they can supplement in the draft and they can do a quick turnaround. I mean, how many times do we see in the NFL going from last to first in a division? It happens all the freaking time. So that's the mindset you have. That mindset doesn't exist in college football. And when you look at the schedule this year, go look at the schedule next year, which is actually difficult for the Tar Heels. So to your point, I'm with you. I'm really fascinated to see if the light bulb goes on of if you're going to salvage anything from the season, you better act now. So I think what's going to happen, because they have another open date.
That's crazy.
Which is weird before they go to Cal. We shall see what happens against Clemson, which I don't expect them to win. And then we will see some changes to your point. Maybe they go to a freshman. Maybe they try to salvage a bowl with Max Johnson, who is a capable college quarterback, and we go from there. So that all remains to be seen. I'm truly fascinated how this week is going to go, mostly from the perspective of Clemson's going to win. I think it's a matter of how much are they going to win by, and then how does Bill Belichick truly recalibrate, given the rest of the schedule is all ACC play and some big games like against Duke and NC State.
Yeah. I want to caution against Clemson being an automatic win, but we just haven't seen enough from Carolina to take advantage of a really susceptible Clemson team.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a team now that, like, Duke lost their 2 games out of the league. And you say, okay, well, what does Duke have to play for? They have the ACC to play for.
The ACC.
And they reset right quick with their wins over State and Syracuse. But Clemson lost 2 games in the league. So it's kind of like, well, what exactly does Clemson have to play for at this point?
Giving themselves a chance. I mean, honestly,
I guess.
No, I know
you think 6-2 is going to get home. Charlotte?
Well, I think we all recognize Miami is going to be in the ACC championship game, right?
I would think.
After that, I don't know why anybody would say, well, I know Georgia Tech is going to go.
That's fair. After the way they played against Wake Forest, that's fair.
I know Virginia Tech is going to go, right?
Right.
So if I'm Dabo, I'm looking at this saying, look, we're coming out of the gate. We're going to reestablish that we are Clemson in the ACC. We're going to make life hell, and we're going to give ourselves a chance because I think Dabo and them, and if I'm Dabo, I am counting on the ACC going full ACC and having stupid shit happen. And I guess maybe Clemson got their stupid shit out of the way, and they'll give themselves a chance.
You're right. They'll probably recover. I don't love the sequence for them the way that it went.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, I know he's gotten his teams in the past to fight for no reason.
Yeah.
Including the year they lost here to State to Dave, the Peyton Wilson game, and you were like, well, why would they care the rest of the way? They did.
Yeah.
They magically did. And that's a credit to him.
Yeah.
But I'm just it's just from what we've seen from them. It's like, but you're right. What has Carolina done offensively that suggests
nothing?
Even if Clemson's defense is just middle of the road,
nothing
that they'll have any success against Clemson's defense.
Zero. And if you take anything from this conversation, it's why do we act as though we can predict what's going to happen in that middling portion of the ACC? I don't trust Virginia. I don't trust Georgia Tech. And that's why, to your point, Duke might have gotten all their stuff out of the way, and they might be the sneaky team
in the right way because they get it out of the league.
In a sneaky way, might find themselves in contention.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
All right, we got Ryan McGee, ESPN, on hold here. So let's move through some housekeeping real quick and continue our college football conversation. We mentioned OG Light. You can get OG Light at P Street Market right now.
Yep.
Should have a re-up at the Butcher's Market here relatively soon.
And go in and ask Chris. He'll tell you. It's the first row.
Yeah.
But just go in and ask, hey, man, I want the OG Light.
We're going to be at the local next Thursday
for
the Kane season opener. You'll have some tickets to give away for the season opener.
Giglio approved section 303.
Now, the person who's our contact, can I talk to them about getting a keg of OG Light at the local?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we might have to make that work. We might have to get that there. And yes, some of you have pointed this out.
This is it.
You have seen it.
This is it.
Ken is Ovies wearing the shacket to see Luda. Might have to go. Who else noticed the shacket? We got Evan.
He had a lot of shackets.
Shacket looks good. We got Mike. Is that the shacket? Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. This is the shacket. It
There's
should be
no
this is the
logo.
Sheffield.
Interesting.
No. The logo is on the side.
Low.
Wrong side. So you got a let me pull it up on the camera. So you see you got a little row back low. And of course on the back it's got the stripe. The stripe on the back, like all row back. And it's stretchy, it's comfortable, it's lightweight. When it goes on sale, I'm gonna get myself another one because it's not on sale yet. Shout out to Ben. Hooked it up. So that's the shacket, baby. Giglio will never wear something like this.
No.
Ever.
No.
So I finally have
I have to stop, drop, and roll.
Rollback. Go to rollback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Maybe you want to save that 20% off a shacket. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Check them out online at bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save. And yeah, the weather's nice. We've had all this rain. Mosquitoes are still going to be active. You know, October always has that like one last heat wave before we truly go into the fall. And if you've been working your grill out, one thing to consider once quote unquote grill season ends or when you're done with all of your fall grilling, it's time to contact NC Grill Rescue. Go to ncgrillrescue.com. Eric and the crew are going to make sure that your outdoor kitchen, your tailgating grill, all that is brand spanking new when they're done with it. Such a clean that you're like, wait a minute, did I get a new set? Kind of, sort of you did. That's how good NC Grill Rescue is. So check them out online at ncgrillrescue.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Ryan McGee, ESPN, not Wes Durham, for those who are not watching on YouTube. We had Wes on yesterday.
Yeah.
Don't want to confuse anybody.
That was funny. Man? Yeah, that thing we did at ACC kickoff was funny. And there was one time on Marty McGee that I had Wes on the show for like an hour because Marty wasn't there and everybody freaked out. And then just to make it worse, I had my dad on and then I had my brother on. And so it was like quadrophenia. We were literally it sounded exactly the same. So
all right, I got to ask, since we're watching on YouTube here, what kind of Millennium Falcon is that in the background of your library? What do we got here?
That's a backpack.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's a backpack. Yeah, I have a Captain America backpack and also have a hard like cap shield backpack.
Oh, nice.
It's vibranium, clearly.
That's clearly a vibranium backpack. You take that everywhere. I know. Good for Joe. Joe got a marble.
I never get the right names.
I love it.
Gemstone.
No, I'm proud of you. Now I like doing this show because a lot of times this is my setup, and when I'm on whatever shows, people freak out about all the crap in the background. But when I'm on y'all's show, I fit right in. So it's great.
You're like, look at our crap.
Right. Let me look at all the defunct things in the background of my shot.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Duke and this Cal game coming up, and Duke's opportunity here with the ACC, I think, being wide open outside of Miami. And we can talk about Manny Diaz's old spot here in a second in that Florida State game. So before we get started, I am curious. Your guy, your former coworker, Manny Diaz. What have we seen so far with Duke? Because it was not an ideal start, but whatever it was, they cleaned up. They got it right against State, and they seemed to be the team that Manny wanted them to be going to Cal on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, if they have the fourth quarterback against Illinois, it's a completely different conversation. So it was funny. Marty and I were coming back from, I think we were in the New Orleans airport. It's week 6. I don't know where the hell we've been.
Right.
But every week we come home. Typically on Saturday night, after we do the show on Saturday morning, and we were in the airport, and we're sitting at the bar watching 5 games, and we're like, man, that's a great game, and didn't even look in on the Illinois Duke game on the plane because we're like, we'll see. And then by the time we landed, Illinois had scored 7 touchdowns in the fourth quarter or whatever. But I think that. I think there was a chance that they were going to take a gigantic step backwards after the magical Elko year and everybody leaves and all those things, game day and all that stuff. But I think he's a little ahead of schedule because I thought they would take a bigger step backwards just because the locker room emptied, and they're not. I mean, they're hanging in every week, and if you're at Duke, honestly, that's the goal. And so no, I'm enthusiastic about what I see in Durham, except for again that fourth quarter in that one game.
Let's move to another point in the triangle on the western side there, Chapel Hill. We all had this game circled before the year started. Dabo Swinney, Clemson Tigers against Bill Belichick and UNC. Now we're getting it at noon. Ludacris has to be up at 9:30 or 8 o'clock to be there. Who knows if the bows can be rolled that early or not?
Yeah.
Is there anything to be made of this game from your perspective?
I mean, this is so last week, you guys know this, my daughter goes to South Carolina, so I started the day in Athens, and it was a haul butt to Columbia so I could surprise my daughter that night. And I went on the field before the game, and I talked to Shane Beamer, and I talked to Stoops because when Dad was refereeing, he called these $1 million ball games because these games are going to decide if you're playing on January 1st or if you're playing on December 23rd or if you're playing at all in the postseason. And it's also going to determine what the status of the coach is. And that's what this game is. It is. And it's yeah, we all anticipated it for a lot of reasons. I kind of thought Clemson, I never bought into Clemson as a playoff shoe-in, but I thought they'd be 4-1. But this is about where I thought Carolina would be. So it's just it's certainly an interesting contrast in styles. It's the coach that can't shut up, and it's the coach that we can't get to talk.
Now, it's funny. You mentioned Clemson not being a national title contender. Not the way that the NFL scouts were talking up this team, but as we know, what NFL scouts look for and what actually happens are two completely different things. Miami was also one of those national title contenders. The question is always about Mario Cristobal and game management. So far, they have won in a very Mario Cristobal, how I want to win. The Florida game was a slog. It was boring, but also it was a dominating performance over the Gators. And now you get the, like Giglio likes to say, little styles make fight, right? I know what Miami wants to do, right? They want to control. They're going to dominate you up front on both ends of the ball. Florida State wants to just get going, man. So I'll be really curious. I think that Miami's way is going to win out on this one. But Florida State is pretty explosive, and they can get on you pretty quick if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I don't know who these two teams are. I'm not all in on Miami like everyone else is.
Oh, okay.
But I want to say I love Carson Beck. I covered Carson Beck closely. We had Carson Beck on the show a lot when he was at Georgia. I like him a lot, and I like the transfer portal because guys get a second chance, right? They get a second breath.
Right now, Giglio is beside himself that you're not all in on Miami right now.
I mean, no, I think this is the game because I really don't know who Florida State is. I have been very skeptical about them.
Look who Florida State is.
Yeah.
It's Feinbaum. Discredited.
Discredited.
Was that real? Did Feinbaum really say that? I don't
By the
believe
way,
everything on the internet now.
I'm going to be on a plane with him tomorrow. Y'all got any questions?
Please
the
ask
one,
him.
the one word. I love the one word Hall of Fame. This one goes in there.
Discredited.
Discredited.
Basically,
Yeah.
basically the idea being that the Alabama team that Florida State beat in week 1 is not the same team you're seeing
No.
now because they beat Georgia.
Right.
Which we'll get to the SEC in a second. But yeah, so you don't know what Florida State is.
So I don't know who Paul is right now. When I get on the plane tomorrow, I'm gonna hand him a $20 bill. I say, "Kid, is this a
Campaign.
am I just loaning this to you, or can I write this off?"
It's campaign contributions.
Yeah, I don't contribute to any campaigns. It's the biggest waste of money of all time. But I might just give it to him. I just want to see. Yeah, yeah. No, NIL. I know what. No, NIL. I know what I'm getting. Or at least I kind of know where it's going. I was a Senate page. I saw where a lot of that money goes, and spoiler alert, it is not to the campaign.
Wait, when
But,
were you on the Senate page?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That's when I lived in South Carolina.
Mhm.
So I was a Senate page for a senator who was a bit controversial, but I didn't care at the time.
Strong?
And he had a daughter my age. Yeah. Nancy Moore, I knew Nancy. Nancy Moore was a really good friend of mine. She got killed in a car accident. But no Strom Thurmond. Yeah, dude, that's part of my Forrest Gump life was that I
never knew this.
Yeah, so the morning after the 88 election, this is how old I am. You would rotate jobs, and you either answer the phones or you'd work with the press secretary or you do whatever. And one of the jobs was you were Senator Thurmond's gopher, and you just sat at a little desk in the corner and sat there, worked on your homework from home. Because I was senior in high school, and he would say, if you want a chicken salad or he wanted what you got whatever you wanted. Ted Kennedy's office was across hallway, and this was the difference in Washington back in the day. At 6 o'clock, Ted Kennedy would come across the hallway, and he and Senator Thurmond would sit there and have a drink and talk about stuff. Like that wouldn't happen now because cable news wouldn't let it happen. Anyway, the morning after the 88 election, President-elect Bush Sr. Came to Washington for a victory lap, and he came into Senator Thurmond's office, and Bob and Elizabeth Dole go to North Carolina. They came in, or Duke, they came in and sat down. Senator Kennedy came over, and at one point it was just me and them. And I still can't talk about what they talked about, but
I think the statute of limitations is passed now. A lot of those people are no longer with us.
Nearly 40 years here, right?
Well, years later, I interviewed President Bush for my New York Times worst selling book about the College World Series because he played in the College World Series for Yale, and I told him that story, and he goes, "Well, Ryan," he goes, "I hope we didn't say anything that we weren't supposed to say. We didn't realize you were in the room." I go, I said, "I just was waiting to see if Senator Thurmond needed chicken salad, Mr. President." That was it. So yeah, this has nothing to do with Duke Miami. It's nothing to do with Miami, Florida State, by the way.
You know what? I found the perfect transition point about conversations that are having that people are having in rooms, and they hope that nobody's listening to it. And I do wonder if Greg Sankey is having that conversation. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey is having that conversation about. I don't want to say there's an existential thing going on in the SEC, but with NIL House, the leveling of the playing field has actually occurred at the top levels, with the Big Ten and the amount of money that they're spending. And we're going to talk about that $2 billion capital investment idea that the Big Ten has. But clearly there's been a closing of the gap, and the SEC doesn't have a stranglehold on the entirety of college football now as the college football playoff has expanded. Is this something that is actually creeping through SEC conversations, or is the hubris still there that no, we're still the best. This just means more. We'll be fine, especially with Nick Saban no longer in the coaching ranks.
Well, I think that's the adjustment. The adjustment is you don't have the greatest coach who ever lived in there anymore. And so you haven't won a national championship in 2 years, which doesn't sound like a lot. Yeah, it does sound like a lot, but it's what I go back to all the time with like Alabama fans.
Yeah,
they're just spoiled, right? And so it was going to take a year with a transition with the coach, and you lose with Florida State, but you're going to be fine. But they're just spoiled rotten, and so it's like that within the SEC. Everybody got used to going to the national championship game every year because it just happened, just like Omaha, right? Everybody panicked because SEC had every team in the conference in the baseball tournament. And all of a sudden, like no one was going to be in Omaha, and they ended up winning a championship, and everybody was fine. So that's all it'll take even in just an appearance in the championship game. But the reality is, and I was doing an interview with my friends in Omaha, Nebraska yesterday, and we had this conversation about, the map is just smaller now. I think about so on the field, while the confetti was still falling, I'm on the field watching Ohio State, and all of a sudden this big guy grabs me and hugs me, and it was Judkins, the running back. And the reason I know Quinchon is because he was at Ole Miss, and he's from Atlanta. And in the universe we lived in a few years ago, there was no way a guy from Atlanta who went to Ole Miss was going to end up in Columbus, Ohio in the wintertime. But everything's changed now. And so that's what we're going to start seeing. And so, yes, there's an adjustment. There's no lack of talent in the SEC. They did lose the greatest coach of all time. So, I'm not worried about the future of the conference, but I bet folks that don't know this, Tim Cook, the who runs Apple, he's an Auburn grad.
Yeah.
And he probably is getting a phone call this week. Hey, they're getting $2 billion at the Big Ten. What you got?
I'm sorry. You mean Duke legend Tim Apple?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's. Yeah. I've only seen him at Duke basketball games. I never see him do Auburn stuff. Come on now, Ryan.
I was at a dinner. Sometimes we had to do these dinners like at athletic directors' houses because we're with the SEC network and all that stuff. And we were at the since departed athletic director's house at Auburn, and Cook was there. And Charles Barkley saw that I had a Samsung. He's like, "Hey man, I'll give you $100 to go ask him to take a selfie with that damn phone." I did not.
So we got Caleb Wilson wearing the New Balance in the UNC weight room, and we got Ryan McGee hanging out with Tim Cook with his Samsung.
I've never talked to Tim Cook. Feinbaum and Tim Cook are friends, so maybe Paul, after he's done asking for campaign money, can get money for the conference.
Ryan, it's one of these things where I consider you a friend, and you've been nothing but awesome with us. But every time I text you to see if you've got some time, I do cringe a little bit when it's a green bubble. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, whatever. It's a better camera. The damn thing I get better cell service, and quite frankly, the apps are better. Like I can't even there was something I was trying to do last night, and it's like I was trying to listen to my daughter's radio show from South Carolina, and the iPhone never wants to do it. So whatever. So I sent a text to Dan Lanning. I was in Oregon last week. I sent a text to Dan Lanning. Hey, I'm in town. I'm not going to see you, but I just want to. And I was doing a story about the Platypus Trophy for the Civil War. And his response was, "I can't believe I'm looking at a damn green bubble right now." I'm like, you coach at Oregon. So don't you don't want to see green? So what I keep it now for it's like the jukebox in Talladega Nights. I keep it for profiling purposes.
It's funny. Joe and I have been talking about Dan Lanning as of late, and I envision Lanning looking at that green bubble from a text from you, and his eyes bugging out the way that they bug out for things like, I don't know about this. And he might turn you into social media fodder if you're not careful. Because right now you're crushing it in that regard.
Yeah, and he's an interesting guy. People don't really know him, and now they're getting to know him a little bit. But he 100% looked like a crazy person after that Penn State win. But it's intensity, right? And I think he's dug in. Like his name is going to come up a lot. I'm going to Florida this weekend. If Florida were to come open, or if one of these other jobs were to come open, or if Kirby Smart retired. But I think he's super happy out there, and and there's something to be said for being able to hide out there in Eugene, and had to take your trips, all your cross country trips. But he's doing fine.
I really, 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 really want to go back to Miami and who you've seen that's been better than Miami, but I'm gonna spare you.
No, I'm curious. Let's go.
You want to go there?
Let's go there.
No. This is
fascinated
because you like Carson Beck. He's the big question mark.
Yeah.
Well, there's one other question mark.
No, I said I like him personally. I like him personally. I think that I have my questions about him in big games.
You understand it's written in the stars. We're getting Miami and Oregon, right? Like you understand.
Yeah. But I honestly, if the question is who do I like the best, I like Oregon the best.
And I have
but to me, it's not a comparison game. I have a question about every team in the top 25. I have a question about every team in the top 10. I felt that way in the preseason. Like I didn't look at anyone this year. All those years we looked at an Alabama or looked at Clemson or looked at whatever, and you went, here we go. I didn't look at
based on what we've seen. I think Miami's been the most impressive team that I've seen. That's what I'm working on.
Yeah, and in all fairness, I've watched them once.
Okay.
Right. And so I'm not, a lot of times when they're playing at 3:30, I'm on an airplane or whatever.
Sure.
And if I've got games I got to research for whatever, it's either bottom 10 or SEC. And so I've not watched them a ton. I'm not a Mario Cristobal believer. He'll have this printed out on his desk probably by the end of the day. I said it out loud on the internet. But
hey, look, I'm with you on that. He can put me on there too. Honestly.
Yeah, but prove me wrong. But I just but I said this going into the season. There's never been a year where I looked at it and I had a significant question about everybody. Arch Manning, I love that kid, and I know the family and all that stuff. But I said going into the year, he'd thrown less than 100 collegiate passes. What are we doing? So, and we all decided he's going to win the Heisman. So I had a huge question about every team, and that hasn't changed because like 3 teams in the top 6 right now were outside the top 18 in the preseason. That's Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. I still think Ole Miss is ahead of schedule. I still have questions about A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And Oklahoma is as good as John Mateer, and we don't know when he's going to play again. So that's kind of the example. I have a major. It's not a Miami thing. I have doubts about everybody.
That's fair. Now let's go to the SEC part that you said, where you said the SEC doesn't. I think you said doesn't have a problem, and I think they do. I think they don't have enough bad teams because any team,
that's fair.
and we're going to see this on Saturday, by the way.
Well,
I apologize, Ryan. You are much more proper than I am, but there's only one way to describe Diego Pavia, the 50-year-old quarterback, the senior at Vanderbilt. He is a straight up motherfucker, and he ain't taking no prisoners on Saturday down against the team that's going to be a little bit happy with themselves.
Yeah, they're happy off
They're
the
playing with their own popsicle a little bit this week.
Vanderbilt's the worst possible matchup for Alabama. All things considered,
you don't want to see.
You don't want to see.
Think about that. Ryan, you've covered the SEC forever. Think about what I just said.
And if you're Kalen DeBoer, you better not freaking lose that game, man.
Think about that. What I just said. The team you don't want to see is Vanderbilt.
This is the world we're living in, right? Where Kentucky fans are so damn spoiled, they want to fire Stoops. And the universe I grew up in, they were just excited to go to the Music City Bowl, right? And now they're spoiled. Now they're used to they're supposed to win 9-10 games a year and all that stuff. But I wrote a big feature about Pavia in August leading into the season. Yeah. I don't know why everyone wasn't talking about him throughout most of September. They are now, right?
Yeah.
But like he was on no one's Heisman lists. I would look every week. I'd get out all these top 10 Heisman rankings, and he wouldn't be on them. And I'm like, I don't get it. But now he is. But no, he is the X factor. He worships at the altar of Johnny Manziel, for better or for worse. And he, like Johnny, he's the guy you cannot account for. And you're exactly right. This is the exact same situation Alabama was in a year ago. Exact same situation. Only difference is it's not in Nashville, which is not that big of a deal anyway.
And of course, their coach has a little bit of Clausen in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%
can help.
As
their offensive line is like all 28-year-olds too. Like their offensive line is ridiculous.
Yeah. And I love Clark Lee. He's got a staff full of former head coaches. Anywhere Jerry Kill is lurking around is a place that you want to be. All that damn guy does is win, and win at places that didn't win before he got there. Minnesota, New Mexico State, right? I mean that's what he does, and so no, it's super super dangerous for Alabama, and you could see it in DeBoer's face when he had his radio show and pressers and all this week. Yeah. There's a much. He's not an overly urgent, like outwardly urgent guy. I like him, but he's just not. But he kind of looks like that this week. And so no. It's the trap game of trap games, and it's the game that we need this weekend. But I tell you this, talking about the way football is and what we're talking about, about the Big Ten and about we don't really know about the middle of the ACC. I was listening, and we don't really know about the top 25. Last year, Chris Doering, who I hated when I was in college, but now is like a great friend. But CD last year, right after that Vanderbilt upset of Alabama for the first time in forever, as they were all politely, helping each other over the fence, is the anti-Virginia, field storming. But I remember Chris Doering saying as they were tearing down the goalposts, he said, "This is where we are in college football now, where the great teams aren't as great, but the bad teams really aren't as bad." And that's why I think we're in a really good place right now. I mean, there's the business model is whack, right? But the parity right now, we don't know what we're going to get. Last weekend we had no idea what we're going to get, and as writers, the three of us all dig that.
Well, we'll close on this then, because I know what the talking point was throughout talking season from Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, in that their strength of schedule, right? The strength of record is the thing that you should be focused on. I'm paraphrasing here, but it was essentially, we're too focused on the whole not winning thing, which I thought was very funny. But yeah. I'm looking at the top of the SEC, and this is not your usual suspects up there. Ole Miss is undefeated. Missouri is undefeated. Vanderbilt is undefeated. Yeah, you got Oklahoma, Texas A&M. And then you see your usual suspects all sitting there with a loss. And, who's to say that Arch Manning doesn't turn things around at Texas, and it's like a different Arch Manning, all these other kind of things. So this is really going to be a test for the College Football Playoff Committee in how they're going to judge the SEC, because I know the talking points. If this were the ACC with those teams atop, then we would say that the ACC is not that strong. But we live in a reality distortion field a little bit. And I get it, man. SEC Network, I'm not trying to put you in trouble, but it is interesting how we frame these things. And I know what the SEC is going to be doing the rest of the way.
Yeah. And I always, quite frankly, I see that as my job. And it rubs Birmingham the wrong way sometimes, which is to remind all this stuff that you're talking about. It's big picture stuff. Because I co-host a show on the SEC Network. But, when we do the 3-hour radio show, that's a national radio show. And so a lot of times, I mean, the last radio show we did, we had the head coaches from Virginia Tech and Florida State on. And so our job is to make sure everybody keeps that broad range. My job is not SEC propaganda. Now, I see them every week, and I can tell you how talented everyone is. And then I had a weekend a couple weekends ago where I was at I was at SEC practice. And then I went to an ACC game that night, and I know visibly what I saw. Yeah. And so I understand where it's coming from. But you got to win the games. And this is where I kind of was cautious about expanding the conference schedule, going to a 9-game. All right, if that's your argument, and everybody talks about how great 2020 was because they just played conference games, which I hated, by the way, because there was no Clemson, South Carolina, there's no Kentucky, Louisville, there's none of that, no Georgia Tech. But be careful what you wish for, because if it is as tough as you think that it is, and everybody comes out of it with 3 losses, don't assume that the room is going to give you that, because it didn't seem to matter with Boise and Indiana and a lot of the teams that we saw, in the CFP a year ago. They're going to reward undefeated seasons, and they're also going to reward, the gauntlet that you ran through with a couple of losses. So it's going to be interesting. But, all that being said, I was looking at it this week. I wrote an essay for College Game Day that'll run Saturday morning saying, don't freak out. The sky's not falling. And I honestly didn't even realize this at the time, but 3 of the 4 semifinal teams last year had 2 losses, including Ohio State. The only team that didn't have 2 losses in the semifinals was Notre Dame, and they lost in Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
So it's not boring. That's all I want. I just don't want it to be boring, boys.
I'm with you on that. We don't want it boring. Hey, are you going to be in town? Are you going to be in Charlotte next week? Like Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, should be, unless I found out on Sunday morning if I'm going anywhere. But I should be around. Are you coming?
ACC tip-off is next week in Uptown Charlotte. So if you're interested, we can drop ship you some OG Light when we're there.
Oh no, I will drive downtown to pick it up.
Okay,
so let me know.
All right, you'll drive uptown. That's fine.
I'm sorry, uptown. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're
defending on this program. I just had to do it.
I still got enough Raleigh in me that I've been living in Charlotte for 25 years, and I can't say uptown. It's still downtown.
Ryan McGee, ESPN, SEC Network, ESPN Radio. Hey, man, we appreciate the time as always. I always love our conversations because it starts with Star Wars. We go Strom Thurmond, and then we're talking football, baby.
Yeah, there you go. A little Ted Kennedy talk. Man, they drank a lot. I can tell you that. All right, see you, boys.
Hey, Ted would have lost some OG Light. Anyway, all right, Ryan, take it easy, man.
See it.
Ryan truly has lived a remarkable life, man. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Big thanks to the Butcher's Market. Obviously, they're bringing you OG Live. May I suggest you get your Butcher's Market and then you run through to a Two Roosters. Get new flavors this month. It's like fall AF, man.
Yeah,
it is truly pumpkin spice season, and Two Roosters is all over it. So go to tworoosters.com. You can check out the new flavors, check out their new specials. Get yourself a pint, bring it home, and cook up whatever it is that you brought back from the Butcher's Market. Or you can just make an entire date night out of it. Go to Longleaf Swine here in downtown Raleigh, and then go to the Person Street location for Two Roosters. And pretty soon in Greystone Shopping Center, you can go to the new Longleaf and then just head over to Two Roosters right after that. I love when our corporate champions get together.
We say we'll have to create a slide with MJ and Cooper Flag with Two Roosters and the Swine,
or like the the Friends.
Yeah.
The Carolina and we got Tuffy and Ramsey's. So go to tworoosters.com. Big thanks to Hometown Realty. As I've joked, maybe you really love those two corporate champions and you want to get a house that's near them in Greystone. Ask Hometown Realty. That's where I want to be. What do you got? And they'll make it work. That is customer service, folks. Check them out online at myhtr.com. And of course, our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Attorneys and counselors at law. If you're looking for something like a speeding ticket to be resolved, well, like Giglio sometimes has traffic violations. They can do that.
Sometimes.
Maybe you're thinking about the third birthday bash for the OG and you're going to have fun and games, but you might need a waiver. They can draw that up for you too. So all sorts of stuff they can handle. wh.lawyer is the website. And of course, anytime we talk about the ACC and mostly college football, and when we do our After Dark on Saturday, post Clemson, North Carolina, it's brought to you by Bloomin' Blinds. Check them out online at bloominblinds.com. That's bloomin, blinds.com. They bring you the After Darks this football season and our conversations about the ACC. So we'll have a lot of fun on Saturday. I don't know. I might be winded from the Ludacris show. I'm going to have to pace myself. Definitely going to have to pace myself. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, it is all of my Disney nerd friends. Earlier, hold on, Sam. You're an actual radio professional, so I'm gonna have to turn down your mic here. And so Ryan McGee, Mr. Disney, and of course Sam Walker, OBX, another Disney man. You just got back from Disney in time to watch a bunch of houses go back to the ocean, Sam.
Yeah, I know. That's what I get greeted back with after being down there for a week. Finally. Because summer never allows me to get down there. So, yes. And came back with the latest. Have you seen this?
What did you get? Is that a popcorn bucket?
Bucket? Oh, just wait. It blinks. It moves. It talks. I knew you'd appreciate this more than anybody else.
Well, I appreciate it. Maybe we can come up with a version of Giglio. Instead of popcorn, it hides the icy hot in the back. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe that's what we do.
Might fit up here in the head. I might very well.
Yeah, that might work. That might work. All right, so I reached out to you because I'm watching your social media feed, and I pulled this up on YouTube, and I'm watching a house get reclaimed by the Atlantic Ocean. We are. And for those who don't know Sam does an excellent job covering all of the Outer Banks. So go check him out, Sam Walker OBX. And I'm watching this footage, dude. It's like, I get that there's a hurricane off the coast. It never really hit, but it's just been churning up the ocean. And when you put houses on a barrier island, I guess this is a byproduct of that. We're up to 7 houses now that have been reclaimed by the Atlantic.
Yeah, this week alone. 5 was it 5 and 45 minutes? Yeah. On Tuesday, and then another one Tuesday night, and another one last night. Probably 2 or 3 may go with what we got going on right now. This isn't something that just immediately happened. Yeah. We've been dealing with erosion forever. When we're on a barrier island, we built. Oh, yeah, there you go. There's our hang glider.
The other thing I was going to bring up. There's a guy hang gliding and right over Kill Devil Hills, but I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. So we're on a barrier island, and barrier islands do one job, which is they're out here to protect you folks that live in Raleigh and Charlotte from becoming part of the ocean. That's what we do. They were never meant to be stabilized. They were never meant to be built on. So people built dunes back in the 1920s and 30s, put people to work after the Great Depression. And then people thought, hey, it's a great idea. Let's build on the beach where it used to be for 500 years when the English first tried to settle here. And 1,000 years before that, if you lived on a Barrier Island, you lived back on the Sound side.
Yeah.
So Barrier Islands moved to the west. The ocean tries to reclaim them. That's what's happened at just a rapid rate. And you've got two very hot spots right now, Rodanthe and Buxton, both on Hatteras Island. Rodanthe is the farthest eastern point in North Carolina. It sticks out there in the middle of the Atlantic. You got the Gulf Stream going by to the north. You got the Labrador Current coming to the south. That's what created Diamond Shoals. That's what created the graveyard of the Atlantic. It also creates a perfect area for storms to blow up. And whether it's a winter storm that dumps snow on you guys and brings us 50-mile-an-hour winds and rain, or the case what we just had, two tropical systems passing offshore, combining with a strong northeast wind, and you get 10 to 12-foot surf that just chews up the beach. And that's what's happened. And you've got two major hot spots now. Buxton, the video that you showed earlier, that's just north of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. Literally, you can see the lighthouse stands right over top of that. And it's just getting worse and worse. It started with Hurricane Aaron last month in terms of getting no sand in the offshore area to knock down this wave energy. The dunes that used to be there were 8 to 12 feet tall. Just 7 years ago, 8 to 12 feet tall, with about 200 yards of beach in front of these houses. These houses were built in the 1970s. They weren't built in the ocean. They were built 50 years ago. So that's what's going on out here. And we just call it Thursday on the Outer Banks.
And what's wild is my brother-in-law used to live in Nags Head. Actually, no, he was in Kill Devil Hills. He was heading up the Nature Conservancy down there in the Outer Banks. And we would head on down to what's the sound there by the lighthouse?
Well, that would be the Pamlico Sound.
The
Roanoke Sound. You go to the Roanoke. So if you guys
Canadian Hole, isn't that what they call it? Canadian Hole?
Canadian Hole, the Haulover. That is right as you come into Buxton. That's the eastern shore of the Pamlico Sound.
And the reason why they call it is because a lot of Canadians come down there and they windsurf and do a bunch of other stuff and kite surf and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so every time I've driven past, you go through that, you go Wave, Salvo, Rodanthe, like that whole area of Buxton. I kept seeing every time, like, these houses were for rent still not that long ago, right? But you said they were 200 yards before that with all this beach. But if you were staying in one of those houses, I'm pretty sure that once the tide came in, if you wanted to leave, well, you're going to have to walk through some actual water in order to get back to your car, right?
Yeah, pretty much. When we get blows like we've been having, at high tide, you had water under the house, and you were not parking your car at the house. You were trying to park it as far away as you can. And after seeing it this morning in the last couple of high tides, you couldn't park it out by the Pheasant Center in a little ball field there, or out by Red Drum Tackle. You're parking that thing even farther into the village and bringing the waiters.
So I guess the question, what I'm setting up here is, I've seen dunes. I've seen all sorts of ways to try to work around this. At some point, you got to give up, right? You can't keep putting homes in that situation. So what happens after all this?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question and multi-million-dollar question, because what Dare County is doing is pumping sand. And that's really, staving it off. A Band-Aid is trying to pump sand out there with beach nourishment. They've done it twice already. They'll do another. The plans are to do one next year. And we have to do beach nourishment a little different than our neighbors down to the south at Carolina Beach and Wrightsville Beach. We have to do it in the summer, right at the height of the season. But when we're the third highest generating county in the state for tourism dollars, it makes a lot of sense to protect your main investment, which is the beach. So it's a must do. It's a must do, but that's really the only way. Otherwise, it's abandon it and let it go. Which, a lot of people say that's what we should do. Hey, and then throw in all the regulatory issues. There's a lot of stuff.
I was going to say, I feel like you got to let it go because, again, these islands are not permanent.
No, they're not. They're constantly moving. They are a constantly moving force.
Sam, there's a metaphor here for the barrier islands and the constantly shifting sands. It seems a lot like college athletics, don't you think?
Yeah.
Constantly shifting, man.
Constantly shifting. That is for sure.
Wish I knew anything as much as Sam knows about Outer Banks,
dude,
and weather and storms.
Sam's locations. Sam's the best. And we'll close on this.
I don't know shit from shit.
What do we got? We got a guy like literally hang gliding over. What's this guy? He lost?
I don't hear. I just came out of Publix like an hour and a half ago in the KDH, and that's First Street. So that is literally.
I know exactly what you're talking about because that's where my brother-in-law was on like 4th or whatever it was.
Yeah, so it's right there.
I know that Publix.
Yeah, no, so that's literally. I'm coming out of Publix today, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's somebody hang gliding. That is not something I've seen. If you hang glide here, you usually do it at Jockey's Ridge because there's a nice place that's safe. There's no power lines. There's no buildings. Yes. That guy's literally hang gliding, and we're pretty sure he launched off the beach. I'm trying to effort getting some more information on that, but that's not a great place to do it. Other than the fact you can say you hang glided on the north end of the very first runway ever, because that's literally where that is at the end of where the Wright brothers first flew on December 17th, 1903.
Amazing stuff. All right,
Sam Walker, what we're going to see.
Sam Walker OBX. Go find him on social media. For those who want to support what you're doing, because I know a lot of people go out to the Outer Banks for vacation, or they go out there and they do sports stuff, whether it's fishing, hunting, all that kind of stuff. How can they support? I know you have a Patreon.
All right, Sam Walker OBXnews.com takes you right to the Patreon. All the social media is at Sam Walker OBX. My wife and I do a podcast very similar to what you guys do. I wear the real headphones. My wife's got to wear the earbuds. She doesn't want to mess the hair up. And anyway, and thank you for the OG. Yeah, right. And thank you for the OG 20. This is the Outer Banks rowback, by the way, which you can. Is it available right now? It comes and goes. I don't think it might be available now.
Much like the islands.
You wisely grabbed it while it was available.
Yes.
But also, much like the islands, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. It's very appropriate.
Yeah,
very appropriate. All right, Sam, we appreciate the time, man, and keep pumping out the content. Like, I know it's
be safe.
Yes, please be safe. And of course, I want more hang gliders over Kill Devil Hill's First Street by the Publix. Look, man, when you get a pub sub. It's that simple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, man.
Take care, guys.
It's funny.
It was quite an official rig he had set up there.
Oh, Sam's an actual legitimate radio professional.
Shoosh.
Real quick.
Impressive.
Real quick
Making
about
us
Sam.
Look like amateur hour over here.
I know. Look, when we had to go independent, Sam was a little bit of an inspiration because he's had to kind of cobble all these things together himself. Because if you think the media dynamics in the triangle are weird, they're even a little weird around the Outer Banks. Although my retirement plan was to go work for like the little community radio station in Ocracoke.
Okay.
It's like a very low wattage one, but it's right there in the sound. It's fantastic. Regardless, I would hang glide to Happy Inhale. At some point I might, with all the running around that I do. I might just have to swoop in and get myself a smoothie. Might just have to do that.
As long as you have the app to order on, you'll be fine.
Hang
Doesn't matter how you get there.
Swoop in, you're good to go. That's where it's at. So check them out. Happy Inhale. Use that promo code OG25.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy Inhale.
Again, use that promo code OG25. You'll get 25% off your first online order when you use the app. Speaking of saving money, our guy Matt Davis is going to save you money with State Farm. InsureGarner.com, 919-779-8277. There's two things to consider. One is, when's the last time you thought about your home insurance, your auto insurance? Did you know there might be better incentives, lower rates, save you money? Well, start that conversation with Matt. Maybe you're thinking, well, I'm already a State Farm customer. But are you getting that customer service? That's another reason to contact Matt Davis. InsureGarner.com, 919-779-8277. Speaking of saving money, you might be looking to consolidate. You might be consolidate debt. You might need to raise your own capital. You don't have $2 billion in private capital to tap into like the Big Ten. You need your own. You got to tap into your own equity. Your own, not private equity, your own equity. Well, that's what Miller Lending can do. Yeah, same difference, right? MillerLending.com/the OG. That's our landing page. You take it to close, you will get a Raleigh Wine Shop gift basket, and you'll also get a rowback. Maybe you'll get a shacket. Maybe we mix it up. No, polo. It's a polo. 919-447.
Crazy.
You're fine. You're right. 919-447-3377. MillerLending.com/the OG. Why were you making little hand? Why are you rubbing your hands together?
I'll tell you off the air.
Oh, I see.
Actually, I know why. MillerLending.com/the OG. Again, take that thing to close. Look, Gordon Miller is an expert when it comes to these interest rates. Like what's happening with the Fed? What does it mean for you, right? We're putting you in contact with experts like our guy, Chris Brassfield. BrassfieldAccounting.com in Homer, Alaska, where it's nothing but daylight, meaning that Chris is awake the entire time, making sure that the books look good. Now, look, there's all sorts of stuff that you might want to get a look at. If you do deal with the sort of work that has you getting into government grants, that's another thing that you have to have all those T's crossed and the I's dotted. And Chris at BrassfieldAccounting.com is going to make sure that all of that is working for you and prepping you for the end of the year. So go to BrassfieldAccounting.com. That's BrassfieldAccounting.com.
Got a good email from Chris today. You ready?
Yeah, what's up?
Because he knows this isn't exactly our area of expertise.
No, it
and
is
how
not.
To stress to all the things that they do at Brassfield Accounting. So government grant compliance and accounting is their sweet spot. And there's a ton of biotechs in the triangle that get these. But due to this, we can also help out nonprofits or really anyone that receives money with rules attached to it. So that is a pretty wide berth right there. So government grant compliance, tech companies, but any nonprofits that have rules attached to that money, hit them up at Brassfield Accounting. They can set up systems to help you segregate your costs and allow whatever rules your funders have. You like that? Segregate. That's new for us. Reconcile, segregate, fractional CFO. Written all the cards on the numbers on the bingo card here.
That is the most talking point read you've ever done.
Are you proud of me? Maybe or no?
Where the hell was this 3 years ago? Nah,
it's not quite as sexy as the Never Nudes.
Nah,
who am I got there?
Who am I kidding? We were gonna get fired.
But I got there.
So I want to before last topic of the day. Saw this last night. Was it Dan Wetzel and Pete Thamel at ESPN highlighting the fact that the Big Ten is in discussions about private capital.
I think it's more than discussions. I think they're closing in.
They're closing in on it. A deal that would infuse at least $2 billion into the league and its schools. Sources telling Pete Thamel and Dan Wetzel. Here's the key part. Everybody's focused on the $2 billion part. This is the key part. The discussions include a 10-year extension of the league's grant of rights until 2046. You know what that means, right?
No Super League.
Super League is going to be off the table when you got $2 billion in cash coming your way.
Which
However,
told you wasn't coming anyway because these conferences aren't giving up their money.
However, that doesn't mean that the Big Ten can't add more schools. Just in the idea that with the grant of rights extended to 2046, we're going to get away from the ideas of my takeaway immediately reading this is, I see. We're holding off the concept of Ohio State calling up Alabama, Georgia calling up Michigan, Texas calling up Notre Dame, Oregon, and saying, hey guys, you understand that we all have more in common than Alabama, Vanderbilt, or Illinois, Ohio State. How about it's basically the old Biggie, we don't talk about Diddy anymore, but they're in the hot tub and he's going, hey, how about you get your friends and I get with my friends and we could be friends. Keep banging. So that's off the table if this goes through, the idea of a super league. But that does not stop the Big Ten from adding schools like you like to talk about because the other thing in this is what the ACC is already doing.
That was my actual biggest takeaway.
Yes. Which is?
So we're going to get a bunch of money, but that doesn't mean everyone's going to get the same amount of money. Rutgers, yeah, you're going to get some, but you're not getting as much as Penn State or Ohio State or Michigan. Sorry. You're not getting the same cut as Oregon. Sorry. And that was what I thought was my number one takeaway from all of this, other than what you think to yourself, the Big Ten's annual television revenue is $1 billion as a conference. So you're saying, well, what do they need more money for? Well, they're tired of asking their fans, even at the biggest schools possible, for the tax that is NIL. So this means they would streamline all of their payroll is what they're trying to do.
Well, okay.
Infuse their payroll.
So that's an interesting thing that you bring up. It's actually something that Matt Brown, we should probably talk to Matt Brown of Extra Points, the newsletter. Matt Brown came through for the podcast festival.
Yeah, he was great.
And Night Zero. Matt's always a fantastic guest, and I cannot recommend the Talking Points, Extra Points newsletter, I should say. Talking Points is a completely different dynamic. But the Extra Points newsletter, and Matt wrote about this in this morning's email, and he makes a really, really good point. If this $2 billion infusion from private capital is about payroll, then you're making a huge business mistake. Never, and I agree with this, and this is rudimentary. I went to the NC State College of Management before it was even the College of Management, and I haven't taken a business class in 25 years. That being said, even I know taking loans to meet payroll is a horrendous idea because that is an ephemeral thing, okay? You take out money for payroll, these guys aren't here for more than 4 years, okay? I mean, that's the best case scenario. They're here, maybe they redshirt, you have them for 5 to 6 years.
2 years is probably your best case scenario.
On average, you're looking at a 2-year window to pay these guys. So what I'm really curious about, and it's a question that Matt has also asked, what is the money for exactly? And if it's for payroll to pay the players, that's a huge fuck up. Hard stop. If you're using this money to get to a point where you can create new revenue streams to then disperse to the people that require the money, then I'm willing to hear that conversation. It actually made me think about the conversation we had with Tim Pernetti, commissioner of the American. And most of y'all know how I feel about private equity. It's bad news. And I set up the question with Pernetti, bringing that exact point up, but I did find his answer interesting. Equity, private capital, I know there's nuance there. I find it all bad for college athletics. I can point to any number of studies and reports that show you the negative effects of private equity when it gets into your business. And I'm a result of that, by the way. The media business has been just slaughtered by private equity. So I'm curious, in college, booster gives a lot of money. You put a name on a building or you get access to the coach and various other things. I understand those dynamics because you're dealing with humans and they're pulled to the university. Private equity, private capital, and the nuance in there, they don't care about those things. They care about a return on investment, and they'll do they'll do what they need to do to get that return on investment. So how do you, I feel like that's a dangerous game to play. I feel like you feel differently about this given your background, especially with IMG. So how do you balance that with college athletics?
Yeah, I totally respect your opinion, and I do think there are stories out there, to point to and cautionary tales, about outside investment. Mm-hmm. But the other side of it is that, there's not been a successful business in American history that hasn't taken outside capital to accelerate their growth. Some work out well, some don't. There are hostile takeovers. There's leverage buyouts. Like the thing I think the industry needs to warm up to is there's 100 ways to cut it, right? Like private equity, the word equity implies ownership and control. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people worry about. But, my point of view is whether you establish a relationship with a firm to do set up a credit facility that schools can sort of draw down capital on, and there's a things they can invest it in to create more value, and that partner is going to share in the upside with you down the road. That's predetermined. I think that's a lot easier because, like ECU might wake up and say, we don't want to take any private cap. Fine, don't take it. Yeah. But UAB might want to do it to accelerate, some of the things that they're trying to do. So to me, what I would say about it is I don't think anybody is fully determined how it should play out. My own personal experience in a couple of businesses that I had the opportunity and the fortune to run, when I was within the Endeavor family or IMG, played out really, really well. And I'll tell you why. Not about the money. If you pick the right partner in private capital, you get access to expertise and people that you don't get in the college business. And to me, this is not just about cash. It's about how do you find people that can bring capital to the table and help you grow your enterprise. Because if they're going to get in the boat with you to grow it, then why shouldn't everybody share in the upside? The idea of taking somebody's capital and them having a call on that money, and if you don't have it at the right time, having control, like that's not a thing that colleges and universities can even physically do. So, but I would go all the way back to the beginning, Joe, which is my point of view is that it needs to be discussed. Yeah. I don't think it's for everybody. It may be done on a school by school basis, but the reality is there's going to be a deal in the marketplace before the end of the calendar year, whether that's at a conference or a school or whatever it is, because the capital is something that everybody needs to create more revenue streams and more value that are more sustainable in the future.
Going back,
almost like Tim knew what he was talking about.
Right. Going back to fish that clip out, it was the end that I went, that jersey. He knew.
Just knew the answers to the test.
He knew this was happening. That's why he's been open about this kind of stuff. Anyway, to wrap the conversation on the private equity, private capital, and I know there's nuance between the two. Ultimately, what it comes down to is, what are we trying to accomplish? And I think the under-discussed part of this, and this is something we haven't just talked about it on the air, but a lot of these schools are being massively underfunded now for a variety of reasons.
Yep.
Whatever's going on nationally, politically, there's also schools that tried to make inroads to get out-of-state students. That hasn't exactly panned out, as kids are deciding to maybe stay closer to home, and that has affected how these things go. And these schools are just looking, I mean, we got to, it's not profit, but we still got to bring money in, okay? What I'm curious about with this, and as Pernetti understands, and what the Big Ten seems to be doing here too, is we're going to have to just admit and get out of this nonprofit business, and we're going to have to start treating it like the NFL. If the Big Ten wants to start running this like the NFL, I mean, they're going to rename this entire thing called Big Ten Enterprises. All right, well, then we can have a conversation. But just understand that if this is to meet payroll, dude, that's a bad idea. Because once you start taking loans to meet payroll, even I know you ain't long for this world. You see what I'm getting at? Like, if you and I got to start taking out loans to pay us,
right?
That's a problem. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think the Big Ten's getting ahead of it right now and trying to build an actual infrastructure to be a completely self-run NFL-like entity for football. And they're going to need more bodies for that, by the way. Something to keep an eye on. Anyway, I thought it was interesting, and it made me rethink that Tim Pernetti interview from 2 weeks ago. You know, I was going to put some money down on the Panthers and the Dolphins in favor of the Panthers, because I would like the Carolina Reaper to take Mike McDaniel out. Like, why are we doing this? We kind of know the end with McDaniel, so let's just get this thing over with, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of rooting for the Reaper, except that the Panthers continue to be down bad. So down bad that even Baker Mayfield doesn't want to talk about the quote-unquote good old days with the Panthers. You sent me this clip. I thought it was actually kind of funny.
This is about the good old days in Carolina. What are you talking about?
Reminisce about what days?
The good old days in Carolina.
Oh, nope.
There was a question about him and Sam Darnold,
right?
When they
meet this week.
They meet this week, and they shared roster spots on the Panthers as they were trying to figure it out at the quarterback position. And of course, Matt Rule gets fired. Steve Wilkes takes over, and it's a whole mess. I mean, PJ Walker got time, man. I mean, Baker Mayfield got hurt, but it's like, that was just awful, just straight up awful. But yeah, something tells me that the sarcasm was met with sarcasm. It was a sarcastic question followed by a sarcastic response. I enjoyed that from Baker Mayfield.
I have a super easy gambling play for you today.
Okay, what do you got?
If you can think of two things that I dislike more than the Boston Red Sox and the University of Virginia, I dare say there may not be two things that are on that list.
Is there a parlay that you could put together on your own for this? Because you could do that on DraftKings.
Well, Boston's hot shit starter tonight is Connolly Early.
Okay.
A Virginia pitcher. So he gets to be the one who puts the dagger in the Yankees season, and you get it at plus money, plus 135. God, what a disgusting hate bet out of me, but I will do it.
I'm looking at tonight's Thursday night football matchup between the Rams and the Niners. Tell me that Brock Purdy is not playing without telling me Brock Purdy is not playing. Hey, look, in the NFL, you don't usually get spreads like this. The Rams are an 8.5-point favorite against the Niners tonight.
I think it opened at 5.5. It's just running away with all the injuries that San Fran has.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Over to college football. Let's go to the ACC real quick. We got North Carolina and Clemson. This thing has not moved. Clemson's still a 14-point favorite against the Tar Heels. We've got Virginia Tech at home against Wake Forest. Virginia, I mean, people loving the Hokies after a win against NC State. They're a 6-point home favorite against the Demon Deacons. And then ACC After Dark, where Duke is a road favorite, a 3-point favorite against the Calgorithm. And, of course, Miami, Florida State, a 4.5-point dog to the Hurricanes. Of course, with DraftKings, the odds and lines are subject to change. Anything juicy there?
Just as we said last week, that Syracuse might be slightly hungover from their big win.
Mm-hmm.
Something tells me Virginia may be a little high on their own supply.
I'm with you on that.
Meanwhile, Louisville was busy conducting their own big comeback on the road against Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
They come back home. They're quietly, let's look at the number here. They're quietly 4-0 on this season, 6 points at home. I like Louisville on Saturday.
Back to the NFL, I mentioned the Panthers. I didn't tell you what the Panthers were against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are essentially a pick 'em. The Dolphins are a 1.5-point favorite against the Panthers. 1 o'clock. Be really interesting. Is
there a Falcons tie here that we can convince ourselves that the Panthers are playing the Falcons?
This tells you. I'll give you an example of just how checked out my dad is with the Dolphins. Okay. They're in France right now.
Your parents?
My parents left for France
Okay.
yesterday. And my dad's retired. He's knocking off some trips he's been wanting to make. If the Dolphins were worth a damn, do you think my dad would be out of the country when the Dolphins are 2.5 hours away at Bank of America Stadium? My dad would have had that on. My dad has like multiple actual physical calendars that he goes and he circles and he puts dates down a year in advance. My dad knew what the schedule was, and he still decided.
And still,
nah, I'd rather go to Paris. That's a lot for my dad. That's a lot. So I'm surprised by that because of, the Miami, Florida State games in Tallahassee. My dad ain't going to that. So that's another reason why I think my dad probably said this. Screw it. But even with the game in Tallahassee and the Dolphins being in town, essentially, I'm shocked that my dad's like, I'm out. He was wearing head-to-toe Dolphins gear when I saw him on Tuesday. So he's kind of casual right now with the Dolphins. He'll wear the stuff when they win. I don't necessarily think he's going to be wearing the stuff most of the time. I wonder if he brought a Dolphins hat to Paris. I don't know. We'll see. Hope he brought an OG hat when he was out in France. That'd be nice, too. Anyway, DraftKings, talking about the NFL. Hey, they got what you need. Looking for anytime scores, first-time TDs, etc. They got you because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. So here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So if your team is hitting pay dirt, it pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG25. Again, that's code OG25. You'll turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. A minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, folks. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Brought to you by the Butcher's Market when we go live. A little bit of housekeeping. No, wrong button. Little bit of housekeeping. A little bit of meeting.
Usually, OG Mailbag comes out in the morning for YouTube membership subscribers.
I was like, where are we going? I don't know where we're going.
So typically it comes out in the morning. However, due to interview scheduling reasons, Mailbag will be coming out in the afternoon. Maybe we actually utilize tomorrow as a way to experiment with a live mailbag that then shifts to membership.
Oh no.
I've been thinking about doing that.
Okay.
Because there's a way I can go into YouTube while we're live,
right,
to switch it from public to private to membership only.
Well, let's try it.
We can try it. You want to try it?
Yeah.
All right. We'll try it tomorrow. Still waiting on somebody to give me $500 a month to MP3 the mailbag. Still waiting.
Just went up to 5, eh?
Just waiting. $500 could be yours. I'll personally email you the audio.
Delivered.
We'll see y'all tomorrow. A little bit later, of course.